Get ready because I'm about to take you through 15 ways that you can go ahead and change up your base of support to completely change a single exercise. Exactly. That's a lot of different ways. So now one exercise potentially becomes 15 different exercises. You with me? Let's get started. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use a simple attached chest press to show you just exactly how your base of support can influence the workout. So let's go ahead and let's get started with the first three. Well, the first three, I'm going to attach my band up here. Kind of the go-to is just a staggered stance. Going ahead and doing a chest press with a staggered stance. But from there, we can easily go into a stepping press. So now we go ahead and we create much more dynamic activity both with our lower body and our upper body. And then lastly, if you want to get explosive, you can go to a split jump or what I call a split hop press. All right, so it's a split step. So now your base of support has to be timed up perfectly with your press so that you start learning how to generate power. Yeah, that's gonna be a great way to go ahead and increase rep speed, but also truly get your body reacting. Now let's go ahead, let's go to a parallel stance. So number 4 is a parallel stance and we do the chest press. Now why parallel stance? Well, because the staggered stance is gonna allow us to use a lower body stabilization effect. Because we're in a split stance, our trunk doesn't have to work as hard. But now in this parallel stance, doing a press, our trunk has to do a lot more work, especially when it comes to preventing rotation and lumbar extension. But now let's go ahead and let's drop into a split squat. Now, notice as soon as I drop into a split squat, the alignment of my band might not be exact, so I may have to go ahead and lower it down a little bit. So now I get into my split squat and I'm just holding. Just gonna make me have to really challenge my squat while I'm doing a press. And then if I want, I can go ahead, go into my squat and come up. So now I'm using the squat to help facilitate a better and more explosive chest press. So there's 6 ways. Let's keep it going. Perpendicular. Let's stand perpendicular to the band. So now we're in this position. Now we can go ahead and we can rotate out of it. So now we can go ahead and do a perpendicular rotational chest press. As a result, now our trunk is going to have to really learn, and our hip is going to have to really learn how to stabilize and prevent excessive rotation through our trunk, specifically our low back, but also our hip is going to play a role in making sure we've got good ground contact support so that as we drop back and explode out, we've gone ahead and we've got great stability. Now, if you look at this exercise, just as a side note, how many movements do we do that require us to rotate? Well, my golf swing does for sure. And if you play tennis, there you go. What about recreational softball, pickleball? You guys get the idea. This perpendicular stance and rotational press has a lot of impact on what we do outside the gym. Hey, why don't we add a step? So let's go ahead and let's bring in number 8 and let's add a rotational step. Now we've got to explode and drop through and time it. Once again, we got to time it with our lower body and our upper body. So there you go, we're 8 down, let's keep on going. What if we go ahead and we go into a half kneeling position? So we're gonna drop down and we're gonna go into a half kneeling position. Well, this is a very stable position, super stable. And you're probably gonna be able to generate a lot of force because you're gonna be able to dig your back toe in, shorter lever arms, you're not as high, trunk can get a lot closer to the ground, so therefore it stabilizes a lot better. You're gonna like this half kneeling position. Just make sure you protect that knee. And oh, by the way, great hip flexor quad stretch when doing this particular exercise in a half kneeling position. But let's go ahead and let's emphasize it a little bit more. Let's go into a static split squat. Now life really gets challenging. Not only do you get a great stretch through your back thigh, left hip really has to learn to stabilize, and this becomes a completely different exercise. Now let's go ahead and let's go right into a dynamic split squat. So we're gonna come up out of it, and we're gonna go back into a split squat, but we're gonna stop before our knee touches, and then we're back out of it. Back down, back out of it. Much, much different exercise. Okay, we're 11 down. Let's go ahead and let's get into the next one. Let's go into bilateral kneeling. Well, bilateral kneeling is like a split squat or split kneeling, but now we got both legs on the floor. But you remember when we had parallel stance, trunk had to work a lot more. So the same thing here. We're gonna get a lot more trunk activation in this position, and we're gonna go right into the next one, which is dropping down, and we're going through a hip hinge. Right there, hip hinge, press. Very nice way to go ahead and increase working that single arm chest press in a kneeling position. But now we're gonna get a lot more hip hinging activation. So you ready for your last couple? Let's hope so. We're going to a pillar. We're gonna drop into a pillar position, and you know what we're gonna get now. We're gonna get a ton of trunk activation while we're going ahead and doing that same single arm chest press. And then let's not stop there. Let's go into a full extended pillar. Really challenge ourselves. Great left shoulder stability, great lateral trunk stability, and guess what? We're still doing our chest press. There you go, guys. 15 ways to go ahead and change up your base of support with one exercise, and take that one exercise and make it into 15 different variations.